I'm kicking things off with Sly Spy Secret Agent, which is a conversion of a Data East coin-op. I recently got the chance to play the arcade original on my Evercade Versus, and I have to say the Commodore 64 version is an excellent conversion. The game is ostensibly a scrolling platformer with shooting and multiple levels to jump between, a bit like a spy-themed version of Shinobi with a Walter PPK replacing shurikens, and no hostages to worry about saving. There's a lot more to it than that though, as the style of the game shifts multiple times over the course of the story. It begins with you skydiving in, blasting away baddies as you fall before safely opening your parachute. Then there's a gun battle outside the Lincoln Memorial, a chase sequence with you on a bike blasting an enemy car with rockets, and a bit later on there's an excellent scuba diving sequence which makes great use of parallax scrolling. This stage sees you going up against a huge great white shark at the end. Software Creations really have done an excellent job of converting the coin-op over fully intact. It's a bit surprising to see therefore that the Zap reviewers only gave the game a relatively low score of 76%. What's up with that? Well, their grievances mostly stem from the fact that the game had a horrible multi-load on tape, something I do remember experiencing myself back in 1990 now that they mention it. Not only was there a load between each level, the game would have to load in the presentation screens in between levels as well, which is enough to tax the patience of even the most chilled out child. I am enjoying a version that has been converted over to the Easy Flash format today, so the long loads are a thing of the past. This only serves to highlight just how short the game is overall though, as I got over halfway through it in about half an hour. Still, as an adaptation of the coin-op, I still think this is a pretty classy effort, with some great music by Greg Follin and nicely detailed sprites. I have really fond memories of playing this version, and although Zap weren't overly enthusiastic, I'm going to personally give it a first class award. Sadly though, the quality levels take a bit of a dive with our second game, Nightbreed. I remember there was quite a bit of hype for the movie version of this at the time, at least among my small friend circle, as it was the next thing from Clive Barker after the excellent Hellraiser. Sadly though, that film and the game that was based upon it were a bit of a mess. You guide Boone around a maze that's full of enemies wielding machine guns and flamethrowers, who also throw grenades at you and leave mines on the floor for you to walk into. It's pretty easy to get lost, and if you do have to go back a screen, the enemy that was there will have respawned, making it a very difficult game, and I remember hating it as a child. I'm still not entirely clear what your overall objective is even today. Also, when I got to a certain spot and trod on a mine, I was thrown down a pit and the game eventually crashed. This happened on multiple versions of the game, so I'm not sure if it's supposed to carry on here, if there's a bug or what. According to the mini review in Zap, Boone will eventually be turned into his powerful alter ego Cabal by the god Baphomet, but I never got that far. They gave the game a score of 79%, which I think is way too generous. It's definitely not a better game than Sly Spy. I would give it a score closer to 60% personally. Game number 3 is Midnight Resistance, and the whole reason I pestered my mum to get me this particular C64 pack over any others that were available. I'd already played the Commodore format demo to death by this point, despite it only being a very brief section of level 1 over and over again. I really wanted to get my hands on the full version, and thankfully on my 13th birthday I was not disappointed. The game did live up to the expectations as well, I would say. It's a run and gun arcade game, and many have compared it to the Contra series, but it is quite a bit easier than Contra, I think. I do still need infinite lives in order to finish it though. The original arcade machine had a rotary joystick that you could twist in order to move and shoot in any direction at the same time. On the Commodore version, you can lock your direction by holding the fire button, pushing the direction you want to fire in, and then releasing. This works fairly well most of the time, and you do get more used to it with practice, but there are still hectic sections in the game that can prove rather tricky with these controls. The graphics are rather chunky as well, but I think they look pretty good, and the designers have managed to retain the boss fights intact. Midnight Resistance has some truly excellent SID tunes too, adapted from the music from the arcade machine, but I think they actually sound better than the original versions. The Zap review crew are in full agreement with me this time, giving Midnight Resistance a score of 90%. They did mention that unfortunately the two-player mode had to be sacrificed, that the controls could be a bit unwieldy at times, and that the multi-load was a bit of a ball ache on the tape version, but other than that they loved it. I have absolutely no hesitation in giving Midnight Resistance a first-class ticket. Sadly though, we're concluding this episode with another dud. Shadow Warriors is once again based on a coin-op by Tecmo this time, which is also known as Ninja Gaiden in other parts of the world. Yes, it's that same Ninja Gaiden that spawned a rock-hard series of 2D action platformers on the NES, and then a rock-hard series of 3D action games on the original Xbox and beyond. This time though, it's a Double Dragon style scrolling beat 'em up, and it is really dull to play. The main character, Ryo Hayabusa, looks quite nice because it's using the C64's high-res mode, but all of the enemies are a bit blurry and are mostly comprised of the same hockey mask wearing thug in a variety of rainbow colours. The collision detection feels off and the whole game runs like molasses. The whole thing could have been livened up considerably with some nice background music, but sadly this is missing. The title screen music is actually quite good though. I remember loading this game up a few times back in the day and then eventually never playing it again. It is really boring and there were better beat 'em ups to follow eventually. The Zap team and I do seem to be on the same page with this one, giving the C64 version a score of 57%. The Amiga version fared considerably better, getting a score of 83%, so if you must play a version of this game then go for that one instead, or just stick with the original on MAME. So, the quality of the overall compilation is a bit of a mixed bag, with 2 excellent coin-op conversions and 2 titles that I would never touch again after the initial excitement has worn off. Also, although playing through Sly Spy is fun now and again, it doesn't have much replay value. Midnight Resistance is ultimately the one title that will continue to be played by me regularly after receiving my new Commodore 64. Join me next time as I delve into the Mindbenders pack, which as the name suggests is a collection of puzzle games. I can't guarantee I will be making a new episode of Compilation Station every fortnight like I am with Cover Tape Chaos, but I will keep it going every now and again. Don't forget to give me your suggestions of which compilations to check out though, and I'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, take care.